Earlier this year, I reviewed a phone and told you that it was my favorite Samsung phone of all times. That was the Galaxy S10 Lite. Still to this day, I think it's a great value and does some really great things for, really just a ridiculously good price. Having said that, that phone has just been ousted in the same year that I did the review. Because just recently, Samsung has released this. This is the Samsung Galaxy S20 Fan Edition. And let me tell you something, value for money, Samsung has knocked it out of the park. I feel like after practically yelling at Samsung all of 2020 about how they're not giving enough value for dollar, they finally did it. They finally did it, ladies and gentlemen. We won. We got them. We win. Okay, look, listen. At the end of the day, this phone actually has me kind of hyped because I feel like Samsung's finally listening and paying attention to the market. This is great. I'm so excited, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to tell you all about the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE, and I'll do that right after this.
This is, you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back. And for all you new people, welcome. My name is Travis, and I do tech videos every single week and have a blast doing them. If that sounds like fun to you, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Anything I talk about will be in the description below. But for now, let's just get into the video. Earlier this year, Samsung released the S20 line of phones, and one of the things that I called them out for was the fact that every single phone was like $1,000 and up. When last year they made the smart choice of coming out with the S10e, which was a $750 phone that was part of the S10 series of phones. This year, they just wanted to take all your money. They wanted to go straight from $1,000 and go up. It was pretty amazing and a bad idea, as those have not sold so well. Of course, they couldn't have known about the pandemic, but even so, I still think it would have been a bad choice. I don't think that having all of these phones come out from $1,000 and above was a smart choice. And as a matter of fact, as we will see, Apple is going to do exactly the opposite, having different prices for all of their flagship phones. But luckily for Samsung fans all around the world, they listened. And I'll be honest, the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE, which is right here, the Fan Edition, is an exciting development. Now, they've actually done Fan Editions before. They did a Galaxy Note 7 Fan Edition years ago. You really didn't even hear about it. And it wasn't certainly as widely promoted as this thing is. But let me tell you all about this phone. You see, what makes this so exciting isn't just that Samsung made a low-price, mid-range phone. This isn't even a mid-range phone. This is a flagship phone. But they did so at a price that makes it totally compelling. And that's before the discounts. So what we're looking at here is essentially a brand new smartphone with a Snapdragon 865. That's right, the 5G 865 processor that was in all the S20 phones this year. Like, top of the line processor. I'm still kind of having a problem with this. Samsung, calm down. You're doing some stuff you're not used to doing, and you got me a little bit hyped. With the Snapdragon 865, you know a couple of things. Number one, it's going to be fast, lightning fast. Number two, you have 5G built in. And not only that, they actually put in a bunch of other features that I swear to beans I would have thought they would have taken out from a low-priced phone. Let's talk a little bit about that price real quick. Now, what the pricing is supposed to be is about $700. That's how much Samsung's selling it for. But guess what? Like, no matter where you look, it's less expensive than that. Matter of fact, you can get this phone for well under that right now, which makes this a super exciting phone. If you pick this thing up for $600, you've won at life. Literally, you've won at life. You can wrap it up. You can go to bed right now. You just won. As someone who's always liked Samsung phones, but over the last year and a half been kind of disgruntled at the pricing, this thing slams it home in every single way. And every time I think about this phone, I immediately want to think of the things that it doesn't have, but then realize that it actually doesn't skip out on anything important. So many of the different budget phones you will find from other manufacturers will skip out on different things. But this thing does pretty much everything. Like, it's so hype. I can't explain to you how excited I am about this phone. I know if you can't tell. Listen, by the way, if you're looking at trying to buy one of these, just go ahead and buy it. Just watch the video, but go ahead and buy it. And then come back to the video because we're going to have some fun with this one. Snapdragon 865, 120 hertz screen, baby. Let's go. In-display fingerprint sensor and a camera that is just, it's Samsung level camera, which is great. And at this price point, super exciting. Now, there have been other mid-range phones, and I've talked about for a while. It's just that Samsung's versions of those typically had Exynos processors, which, as you may or may not know, not exactly the most exciting processor you can pick up. As a matter of fact, a lot of people in my comment section will simply not buy a phone if it has an Exynos processor. But more importantly than that, this thing also has things like reverse wireless charge, and even DeX and wireless DeX. These are things that you would think Samsung would take out of a mid-range or lower range phone. This is a flagship. Let me just keep saying it is a flagship phone. It is not without its issues, but it's a flagship phone. And the timing couldn't be better, as Apple is about ready to release the iPhone 12 with very similar-ish pricing strategies. But here's the thing, Samsung phones just drop in price right off the bat. They really do, they drop price very fast. As a matter of fact, you can get a Samsung Galaxy S20 renewed for the same price as this. And I do have people asking me, should you get a Samsung Galaxy S20 or the S20 FE? And there's a couple of reasons why you might go with the S20, but here's my thoughts on it. Number one, the pricing structure on the S20 for that price generally is an Amazon Renewed product, which I've done reviews before. Amazon Renewed program is amazing, I love it, but the reality is it is a used phone. This is brand new for that exact price. Now, of course, there will be carrier deals you can get where you might want to get the S20 similar-ish price to this, maybe. I mean, I haven't really seen any of those. Then I guess you could go with that because technically it is a better phone for that, but not by much. Everything that's important is the same, except for this has a slightly better front-facing selfie camera, and for some of you, and you're gonna love this, a flat display. And that's the thing, some people really like flat displays on their phones, and this thing handles that business. Now, with it being flat, you will notice one thing, there is a bezel. Now, after a while, I didn't even notice it. At first I saw it and I thought it was really huge, especially when you compare it to the original Samsung Galaxy S20. But after using it, I don't even see the bezels anymore. This thing is just awesome. To me, what's exciting is also this will get continual 3 years of OS support and of course, security support after that as well. So we're talking 3 to 5 years of security updates and at least 3 updates for the OS for a really well-priced phone with very good specs. Now the cameras are pretty good, like I talked about before. Here's a couple of samples that I took with this thing. And you know, listen, I'm just not hating on this at all. This phone has essentially the same cameras as all the other S20 series of phones. It is not anything different really than an S20. As a matter of fact, I would argue they should have released this with the S20 series of phones. It, to me, is the most important phone they've released all year. Another great thing about this is the fact that it comes in all of these great colors. Now, sometimes the colors that come out with phones are not to your likings. You just get a D brand skin or a case like that. But I picked up the green this time. You know, I'm usually a fan of blue, but I'm super happy I got this green. It just looks so good. Everything about it is snappy. Of course, the Snapdragon 865 in-screen fingerprint sensor is off the chain. Literally no complaints. Gaming works, everything works. There's not a single thing that I feel like is missing from this, really at all. But what's interesting is the way that Samsung is marketing this phone on their website. If you look at the comparison between this and the S20, you'll notice that they're kind of hiding certain aspects of this phone versus the S20 line, despite the fact that a lot of the specs are exactly the same. Probably the easiest thing to point out is the processor. They're really kind of downplaying that this is the same processor as the S20, which is kind of a strange thing. I mean, if you're gonna use that processor, just go ahead and tell people it's the same processor. Is it gonna bite into the S20 sales? Probably, but that's probably gonna happen anyway. And quite frankly, it probably should. This phone really could be the normal S20, if you wanna go there. For me, one of the reasons why this is such an important phone is because Samsung now is really bringing the pain. Now, they've done a bunch of confusing things in their product line where some of the A series of phones are actually priced now the same price as some of the S series of phones. If I was Samsung, I would clean that up. You keep the A series down to maybe the A30, which goes up to maybe $300 or so, and then have the S series start about $500 or $600 and just go up from there. I think the confusion between the A and the S series isn't that big of a problem in general because they're not available in a lot of carriers. However, the ones that they are, it's kind of hard to know that this is such a better deal, even than something like the A71. The reality is this, Samsung being a player in this space is a huge deal. OnePlus better pay attention because they've gone way too far up into the stratosphere in pricing, and I think they've lost their way. Samsung may have just figured it out. Praise Travis for telling them all this time. Praise me. What I hope this does is push Samsung into this line heavier and harder, because they did say that when they announced this, that more fan editions will be coming over the next couple of years. And to me, that excites me. And it actually gives me some pause to tell people to maybe not even get the initial S20 line or S30 or whatever is going to be next line of phones. Wait for the fan edition unless you need that super high-end version of each Samsung Galaxy S phone. This hits so many marks that I am continually shocked at Samsung releasing this. To me, someone at Samsung finally got through and is doing us all a favor as consumers. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm all about value for money. And literally, this is going to be my recommendation for anyone who's looking for a phone around this price range, Android side of thing, especially if you like Samsung. The fact that wireless DeX and DeX comes on this thing, plus of course all the things you can do with streaming gaming and all the other cool things that Samsung puts into their phones, makes this an easy recommendation for me. Absolutely easy. Link will be in the description below. But I just want to say this. For me, this is now my favorite Samsung phone I've reviewed this year, and that includes the Galaxy Fold 2. This to me is more exciting because it's more easy for people to get. See, for me, pricing plays a huge part in how I look at a phone, because if you can't afford it, it kind of doesn't matter. Listen, Samsung has done it right. I sincerely hope that we see even an expansion of the fan series, of the fan edition series on other phones, like the Note side. Samsung's been doing this thing where they have the Galaxy Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra, but no one really wants the actual Note 20. Same thing with last year's Note 10 and Note 10 Plus. Really, you didn't want to get the Note 10 because it sacrificed too much. What about a Note 20 Fan Edition? I would buy that. Ladies and gentlemen, Samsung has a winner on their hands, and I can't say it enough. I love this phone, highly recommended. And you know, if you're interested about that Samsung Galaxy Fold 2 review I did, I'll leave a link for that right here. I want to make sure you check that out. And for anything else that's coming up, some links down there, make sure you hit the subscribe button, because I'm going to be doing a whole bunch more phones just like this. Samsung, well done. See you guys again next time. Peace and love.